Welcome to the Fear and Greed Business Interview. I'm Sean Aylmer. Australia's spending habits are shifting. In the latest quarter, beauty, pharmacy and retail surged, while categories like alcohol, petrol and pet care took a hit. It's all part of a changing consumer landscape tracked by consumer data and research group Fonto, which captures real-time purchasing behaviour from tens of thousands of Australians. Ben Dixon is the CEO of Fonto. Ben, welcome back to Fear and Greed.
Thanks, Sean. Nice to be here.
Just remind me again how you capture the data and create the statistics that you do.
Sure. We've got, let's call it 90,000 Australians who opt in to share their daily transaction data as you would see it on their bank statements, and we reward them for doing that. And then we bring that down to a representative subset and we weight that to ABS statistics so that it's a nice, neat set. And from that, with all that data that they share, we're able to build category analysis, category insights, all those sorts of things.
Okay, so that's how you do it. Let's take some of the categories. Alcohol's an obvious one for many people. It's actually not doing as well as it was.
Yeah, it's interesting. What we're seeing is that penetration, that is the number of people who have spent in that category in the last quarter versus the same quarter last year, is down. It's down about 5%. But also the frequency at which those people are spending in that quarter is also down around about 6%. So overall, when you look at spend per capita across the whole country, we're seeing quite a significant decline in spend in alcohol for the quarter, year on year, as you say.
So whatever reason that is, it's health, whatever people are deciding that, maybe it's a cost of living thing. I'm interested, though, what that means for the actual companies selling the alcohol. Now, that's obviously based on the fact that Coles consolidating its brands. Do you think that's a reflection of that trend?
Look, it is. But what's been interesting for us, first, if we go to the market, really only Celebrations and BWS both grew the basket size, so the amount spent in each time, and the frequency at which the others were coming. Basket size, probably driven by price increases, still grew for the likes of Dan Murphy's and others. But the big movement that we've been watching and watching closely is the consolidation under Coles Liquor. So First Choice and Vintage sellers moving under Liquorland banner. So we're seeing significant declines in First Choice and liquor and vintage sellers penetration and the number of people going there, as we should. What's been surprising to us is that in this quarter we haven't seen the shift yet to Liquorland. So 1 + 1 isn't necessarily equaling. Now, Liquorland is still beating the category average, so that's good news for them. But we'd expected to see a bigger uplift in Liquorland, and we haven't seen that yet. We're going to continue to track every day, and we may well see that. We just haven't seen it yet, which was surprising to us.
Okay. Pharmacy, let's take the other side. So pharmacy is actually doing pretty well.
Pharmacy is doing very well.
Why is that?
Well, we're seeing stable or 0.5% up on penetration, and that's okay. Or it's actually good. But we're seeing growth in, one, the number of times in a quarter. And again, we're talking quarter on quarter, year on year here. We're seeing the number of times people are going to pharmacy increasing, and we're seeing the spend in there. And we think a lot of that has to do with what we call grocery migration. So there's obviously this battle around toilet paper and personal care and beauty products that's going on, pharmacy versus the big grocery outlets. And we ask our members, so we also get to survey our members. So we ask them why, when we know they've bought those particular products, why did you choose the pharmacy, not the supermarket? And the three top answers that we're getting back are, I found the discounts or the pricing better in the pharmacy. I was already in the pharmacy, so it was easier to buy while I was there. And the supermarket didn't have the exact brand or product that I wanted. So pharmacy sort of starting to encroach into that space, as we're seeing Bunnings do, I suppose, a little bit with things like laundry detergent and that sort of thing.
Yeah, in pharmacies, are they, I think of Chemist Warehouse here, but they're kind of almost, they're not quite big box retailers, but they're sort of medium box retailers nowadays compared to what they were.
Yeah, they're certainly moving in that direction. And if you think about the number of SKUs on shelf today in some of the, particularly places like Chemist Warehouse and Priceline, they're moving towards a much broader number of categories. And again, it's one of the things we're starting to track very closely is what's happening in pharmacy, both back of shop, where you get your ethical goods from a pharmacist, and front of shop as well, and how is that playing out.
Stay with me, Ben. We'll be back in a minute. I'm speaking to Ben Dixon, Chief Executive of Fonto. We've been talking alcohol pharmacy. You mentioned Bunnings then. I mean, that's kind of like a category owner. isn't it?
It is. So when we think about, DIY or home improvement, it has a huge percentage of the category. Interestingly, we've seen penetration flat in the last quarter, but actual spend going down a little bit, which surprised us. It might mean people are doing slightly less DIY, but we've seen about a 6% decline in spend in the DIY category. Not all Bunnings, but we also are seeing that they are starting to take from the supermarkets. And, the supermarkets have talked about it openly, and as we all know, they're now have submitted their price list for the ACCC to go through their top 12 products or so. But supermarkets do openly talk about the DIY and the pharmacy sector taking some of their lunch.
Mind you, the supermarkets have taken some of the pharmacy sector's lunch over the last 15 or 20 years.
Yeah, I think it's all fair game.
Yeah.
And, there was no surprise that particularly pharmacies started to fight back, if that's the right word.
I'm going to throw one at you that we haven't even talked about off air, but I'm just interested because I'm looking at the numbers here. Petrol.
Yeah.
Wow, what's happened there?
Look, we're seeing a big decline in petrol, and we think that aligns with the fact that people are moving to hybrid and electric vehicles. Right. So it makes sense to us, and again, we track it, but that's the biggest explanation we can see. We can see that decline in spend, and that's an easy explanation, I think.
And then I also just want to mention beauty because that's at the other end. Some of us are spending a lot more on beauty products, Ben. I'm not sure about yourself. I'm only speaking for me.
Every day.
Every day. I mean, the customer spend on that's up enormously.
Yeah, and it's funny. There's a number of categories. So delivery aggregators, I think maybe we're getting a little lazier. Fast food, up. Delivery aggregators, up. But beauty and pharmacy we've already talked about, but beauty definitely up. It's a category that's in a bit of a boom time at the moment, which is great. But yeah, we're definitely seeing beauty up.
Yeah, okay. So broadly, can we draw trends out of what's going on? I mean, you almost did then, right at the last, but what are some of the big trends you can see across consumer spending?
Look, I think some of the what we would call need-to-haves versus the luxury or the discretionary items, we are seeing shifts in the discretionary and shifts to the positive for more of the discretionary. And we are seeing slight declines or tightening of some of the what we would call basics or need-to-haves. We've actually even seen a slight decline, which is interesting, in telco and internet, which, so it's just the spend, and are people finding better deals? Are they pushing down? But, so petrol, telco, some of those things, slight declines, but beauty and fast food and those sorts of things, up.
Does that suggest that the cost of living crisis has peaked? I'm not saying it's over.
Yeah, I think that's it. We're very careful what we say about that because there's a lot still to come down the line as people move through the process. But definitely we're seeing, as I say, that discretionary spend up across different categories. And I think people are just shifting at the moment, or we're still going through a period of head buried in the sand, but I don't think that's the case. I think we're just seeing, hopefully, a bit more stability, which means people are spending where they want to spend in addition to where they need to spend.
Okay, so Fonto's data, I presume your customers are retailers, different types and sizes.
Yep.
I'm sure they act on it, but how agile are Australian retailers in terms of being able to use the data and doing something about it?
And it's one of the points we really push, and that is if you can get more timely, more accurate data in the world of research, that's got to be the focus. How do we get things on your desk that's real data, not claimed or recall behaviour, as quickly as possible? It allows those people running the strategy and the tactics within any of the retailers, or in fact the manufacturers and suppliers as well, to move a bit faster. And customers aren't prepared to wait around anymore or have things out of stock or off shelf or lack of innovation. So for us, it's a big focus to push the retailers when we can get the more accurate data more timely.
And are they getting better at it?
I think they are. I think they are in pockets, and I think they've got different structures on how they attack things quite quickly. And it's interesting to see some of the old school businesses, and we do a lot in QSR or fast food, and some businesses are very agile in how they'll put new things out in terms of types of burgers or types of chicken or whatever it might be, versus others who have to go through a long process, and it takes too long. And you can try and fail, or you can go through a long process and it becomes too long.
And are those that are agile and able to get it up, the new burger for the sake of the example, do they tend to do better?
I think so, yes, because you can fail fast. Yeah. But then, if you do a good job, it's out and it's running, and people have got to think, oh, that wasn't a bad idea, and can I copy that?
Yeah, fantastic. Ben, thank you for talking to Fear and Greed.
Pleasure, Sean.
That was Ben Dixon, CEO of Fonto. This is the Fear and Greed Business Interview. Join us every morning for the full episode of Fear and Greed, business news you can use. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your day.